Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me can totally do a 40-piece puzzle. His name is Mike Roth.
I do 39.
Dang.
I can't do that last
Do you
one.
purposely leave it out? Or do you just buy puzzles from,
it's my uniqueness.
Goodwill that are missing a piece?
When I'm going out with the hipster crowd, I like to try to find something that's unique about myself, so I always say I only do 39.
I think you just take that one and just toss it.
No, eat it.
What a
Peanut
monster.
butter.
What a monster. So this week we have a few movies to talk about. Puzzles are going to come into play at some point. But first, I have a movie for you, Mike. A new movie from director Jason Hall. He's the man who wrote American Sniper. He is directing this film called Thank You for Your Service. Stars Miles Teller as a man named Adam Schumann. And it is a movie about men returning home from Iraq, soldiers returning home from Iraq. And, I mean, the issues that face these men as they return home from tense situations. It stars Miles Teller, but it also has Beulah Kowale as Solo, another soldier friend of his in his unit. Haley Bennett is in it as Miles Teller's wife. And it really just focuses on, as soldiers, these men had a purpose. They had a job. They had a thing to do. They served a purpose. And then they are brought home, and they are kind of dropped right back into, quote-unquote, normal lives. And they all have best intentions about what they're going to do when they get home. Oh, man, I'm going to get married. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But unfortunately, they also are kind of forced to bury some pain, bury some, each one of these guys inevitably saw or went through something in the course of their service. There is an incredible scene early on in this movie where Miles Teller has to carry a friend, a guy in his unit who has been shot in the head, and he is carrying him down a flight of stairs trying to save his life, and he is covered in his friend's blood. And it's a hard moment to watch. And he has this guilt complex about him because of things that happened over there, and can't really forgive himself for things that he saw, things that he did. And each of these men, three of them that they focus on specifically, all have kind of demons that they bring home. And the movie really is a movie that focuses on post-traumatic stress disorder and how the internal mental injuries that these guys come home from don't easily heal. They're not easily diagnosed. And for a lot of these men, they're kind of told to tough it out, suck it up, and be good soldiers. Mm-hmm. And you just bury that pain, and you bury that hurt, and you just, you don't bother people with that. And so the movie is shown from their side, but then, as I said, Haley Bennett plays Miles Teller's wife. And you also see the spouse's side of it, and how the silence is really the killer, and how they just she's just trying to break through somehow to get him to talk and to open up. And Amy Schumer's in this movie in a small role. Yeah, in a small dramatic role as the wife of a fallen soldier. The movie has the ghost of this soldier, Doster. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who was killed in the unit, and it affected all of these guys. She's the wife who's really spending the movie just looking for answers that she's unable to get.
Really can't picture Amy Schumer doing that.
Yeah, it's a small dramatic role, kind of interesting. And the movie kind of deals a lot with, these guys, the VA, the red tape, the hoops these guys have to jump through. Even when they finally realize, when a guy finally realizes, I need help. Mm-hmm. I need help. And how the VA, it's not readily accessible. Yeah. And there's one thing of coming home from war and you've lost a leg, or physical injuries. Mm-hmm. But I'm suicidal. I've realized this. I need help. Well, you can hopefully deal with that in 6 months. I don't have 6 months to deal with this. And so it is just kind of this look at this, and how everyone kind of reacts differently to these extreme circumstances. And it was hard to watch. There were some hard moments. Miles Teller was very good in this. I've kind of been up and down with Miles Teller. I like him.
He's been back to back.
And only to bring him back-to-back weeks with really tough, dramatic roles. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed it. And it's hard to watch because we are still 2017 so far behind in diagnosing these and being able to help these, our greatest heroes. We send them to war and they come home and it's just kind of like, well, now suck it up and get back to life and just act like none of that happened. And so I really enjoyed that. You know, there were some things in here that were a little kind of heavy-handed in the final act. Felt like, okay, we know this. You don't have to keep hammering points home. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And I was pleasantly surprised by Miles Teller and Haley Bennett's charisma together. So I recommend it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's worth a watch. It's kind of being marketed as a war movie. It's not a war movie.
No, it's...
There's about 9 minutes of battle footage in the film.
Yeah.
So that's what you got. I say go see it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of the show.
Yeah. So that was the good one. What do you have for us, sir? Yes.
All right, Suburbicon.
No, that's the one on top.
Oh, Jigsaw. So this is another installment in the Saw series, directed by Michael Spurrig and Peter Spurrig.
The Spurrig brothers.
Spurrig brothers. So they're trying to revitalize the Saw franchise. Of course, everything we know about the Saw franchise. You have the main character, Jigsaw. He's supposedly dead. This is the current time, and the Jigsaw killings are happening again with the cutout puzzle pieces and strange cryptic things, and the detectives are hot on the trail of trying to find who this killer is. It is an hour and a half of watching people die and things not really quite adding up, and just not good. It's there's really not much of a plot. It's the same as all the other Saw series, except for done even worse than they have done in the past.
Because apparently I stopped watching this franchise a while ago because they're just progressively worse. I think the Saw series is one of the worst franchises ever. It's in the bottom rung of franchises.
It's the father of torture porn, pretty much.
Right.
But not to disregard the very first Saw, which was very creative, even though very gruesome.
There's been many since.
Yeah.
We didn't need to have more because Jigsaw, died in the last one apparently. So the specter of, oh wait, is he alive? Is Kramer alive? Is that how this is happening? That's the plot, quote unquote, of this? And so it is just like, ooh, more creative torture.
Yeah.
Whoa,
but that wasn't the reason why people really enjoyed the first one. But everybody who's made a movie after the first one, they said, well, this is what they like. They like these creative, weird ways of people dying. And no, the first movie was great because it was a psychological thriller. It was messed up your mind at the end.
The first one had a little bit of, it messed with your morality.
Yeah.
It challenged your morality.
Yeah.
This one, it tries on the most surface level to be a morality tale, but it is not.
No, a lot of the ways that they killed people just some of them seemed easily escapable. Yeah. A lot of them felt very coincidental.
And there's also like the cop side of this. There's the cop Halloran, played by Callum Keith Ronnie, and he was awful.
There was
There's
all
some
bad
really
acting.
epically bad acting in this movie.
Yeah.
Matt Passmore, who plays Logan, who's kind of like the star of this movie, quote unquote. Terrible actor. Both of them, the cop side of it, like, oh, we got to hunt down, is Kramer still alive? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything in this.
I think the only reason why anybody would go to this movie is the prosthetics were good. If you're like one of those special effects kind of guys,
I guess there's so many.
But
really, so many other versions.
Yeah, might as well watch all the other movies that can do this with a good story.
The editing in this movie was so horrible too. It felt like it was literally edited with a handsaw.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just chopped from here to here, bang, bang, and then what are we doing?
And really, every 10 minutes, you're like, that was the dumbest thing I've seen, until the next 10 minutes. And then in the end, it's like, okay, well, all that stuff wasn't as dumb because here's the twist. No. And you're like, no, it doesn't work for me.
That's the problem. And in my notes, as I'm in the movie, I went in, I did not care if I saw this movie or not. There was a 50-50 chance I was just going to skip this movie, let you have it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about this franchise at all. But I ended up seeing it. And in my notes, I'm like, this movie's actually somehow dumber than I was expecting it to be. I went in with low expectations.
I was actually hoping for the Final Destination type situation.
Yeah.
Final Destination, another franchise. Started off with a great movie, got progressively worse. They just kept on popping movies out over and over again. Each one worse than the last one. They took a hiatus for quite a few years, brought out the Final Destination, which wrapped up all the loose ends, and it was a fantastic film. Yeah. And then they stopped. I was kind of hoping this was going to be so.
I think, I mean, I thought that they put a bow on it with the last one, and like, we're done. Yeah. And this just felt like a cash grab.
Oh yeah, it definitely
felt like they were trying to reboot it somehow with the way it twisted, and it just was so stupid.
I'm actually surprised James Wan actually allows them to use his name.
I
would be one of those guys who'd be like, you know what?
I'd have creative control. Like, whoa, that's crap.
Yeah.
No way.
Take my name off of that. I know it's going to make money. I'll finance it, but don't, like the porn industry, don't say my name.
Please don't. I'll cash the check. I was blown away by how terrible this movie was. I really was.
At least
I went in expecting it to be terrible.
Yeah.
And it underwhelmed. And this is a genre that I really don't care about.
No.
I mean, like, I thought the first Saw was interesting. I thought the first Hostel was interesting.
Yeah.
But for the majority of these films, this genre is one that I could very much just skip completely.
Yeah.
Because it is so uncreative. And as you move from, sequel to sequel to sequel, it becomes less and less creative.
Yeah.
And this feels like a bastardization of the entire franchise to me.
Yeah.
It's just like taking not even the best of.
Some horror franchises, I think they still get it, like the Insidious series, the Conjuring series.
Right.
I think they're making creative. A great
they're
world.
They're building on what they're doing.
Exactly.
This franchise and other ones similar to it are just trying to copycat what they did instead of building.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know what worked. Let's try that again.
Instead of copycatting what worked, they copycat what's the easiest for them, and that is the grisly ways people die. And in this movie, really, the grisly ways people died, they're really not that creative. They actually feel very coincidental and not really that lethal.
Oh, the wrap-up at the end, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, come on. We got to explain everything. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah. It did a bad job of trying to explain all the bad things that you were scoffing at throughout the whole movie.
This whole franchise, I mean, it's like we're killing bad people. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But I can't stand it. What did you give Jigsaw?
I give it a 1. I'm thinking I might have the higher score.
Jigsaw gets the honor of being, I think, the second movie this year that I give the dubious Big Donut to.
Wow.
0 stars for me. It's this and I think Snatched are the only two that managed to pull a 0 so far this year. It's pretty good for this late in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is hot garbage.
I think I only gave 1 0. I can't remember what it is right now.
Oh. Sure.
Everybody has some kind of redeeming value.
Yeah, not this. No, thank you. We'll skip Jigsaw. All right, so the next movie we have on the marquee is a movie that I was actually really excited for because it combines so many great things that I love. Written by the Coen brothers. I love that. Directed by George Clooney. Starring Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I'm in. Let's do this. The trailer looks fun. It looks kind of like a Coen brothers style film. We're talking about Suburbicon. Matt Damon stars as a man named Gardner. This movie is set in the blissful, 1950s utopia. It's in the existence of the suburbs, and we kind of explained how suburbs work in the opening, and it is very much the blissful suburbs of the 50s until they move in. The African-American family moves into the suburbs, and we're introduced right away. Nobody likes this. We don't like those people moving into our suburbs.
Yeah.
And then that becomes the B plot to this movie, very much the B story.
I would say even C plot.
Well, it serves as an allegory to what's going on with the rest of the movie. It kind of runs parallel. And the movie is Matt Damon's this guy who we're not really told why, but he's into the mob. The mob's after him, or these bad guys, these heavies are after him. We're not really explained why or who they are or what they do or whatever.
It was insurance.
Yeah. I mean, it was glossed over.
Yeah.
There's 2 Julianne Moores in this movie, which for my taste is too many. But she's playing twin sisters, one of whom is Matt Damon's wife.
Yeah.
She is taken out pretty quickly. And so her twin sister decides to kind of just step into that role of, I guess I'll just dye my hair and become the new wife.
Yeah.
Weird. It's a little weird. And it's basically Julianne Moore playing the role of Poppy that she played in Kingsman 2 a couple months ago. It's basically that.
Yeah.
She was living in that same existence.
It's
a manufactured Suburbicon.
Yeah. Actually, I've seen Matt Damon do this role, too.
This is kind of the informant.
Exactly.
With a couple others. Yeah, we've seen this. And so he owes these guys the money. Oscar Isaac shows up halfway through the movie as this insurance adjuster who has questionable motives.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I like Oscar Isaac quite a bit. And this poor kid, their son, Nicky, played by Noah Jupe, who, this poor kid has seen some things.
Oh, yeah.
He's seen some things in his idyllic place that they live in. It's not good things he's seen. And so, for me, I'm thinking, okay, this movie's set through the eyes of this child.
Yep.
Could be really interesting. Unfortunately, they kind of bailed on that.
Exactly.
Like, I was really excited for that. And they pulled away from that. And for me, like, this movie, Suburbicon, aesthetically, it looks great. I like the look of this 1950s.
Great trailer.
Great trailer. Felt like a Coen Brothers movie. Here's my problem. Tonally, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny.
No.
It wasn't dark enough to be like a thriller or dramatic enough.
Yeah.
It was just kind of there. And Coen Brothers movies always have interesting characters.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, what's that guy's deal? This really didn't have that. It didn't have interesting characters. It didn't have really anything.
No.
To really point at and go, I like that.
The movie kind of sets itself like what we were kind of mentioning in the beginning. It wanted to do this thing about the white flight and how the black people move into the neighborhood, and all of a sudden it's a bad thing and everybody's up in arms. But they did nothing with that story.
No.
They introduced the movie saying this is what it's going to be. We're going to expose
And
racial
every once in a while,
injustice.
they'd be like, oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
the neighbors aren't happy. But they could. That was it.
Yeah, it really felt that part of the movie, which felt like it should have been the main part, was very
And it was supposed to parallel, like, as things started to unravel for Matt Damon's character, you'd see that more things would get more violent in the neighborhood as the angry throngs in the neighborhood would kind of attack this African-American family. And so those were supposed to parallel the moods, but they just kind of left it there.
They didn't concentrate anything on the family.
No,
you got
none.
to see...
You just see them, like, go to the grocery store.
Part of the story, which I thought was the B-plot, was the movie through Nicky's eyes, which is the son. And it starts off with the son going over to play with a boy who's just moved in. But you don't get to know that boy who just moved in. You see the mother once in a grocery store. The father, you don't even see until close to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
There's no emotional attachment to these people except for you feel the sympathy of what people are doing to them because you don't get to know these people at all. Nicky, same thing. You thinking maybe this movie is played through his eyes, but the movie wanted to concentrate on the two things they thought was the best part of the movie, and that is Julianne Moore and Matt Damon acting, doing roles they've already done before, and therefore
you've seen it.
You couldn't really get any on other people's story because they just want to concentrate on their quirky characters that we've already seen.
So you have the heavies in this movie. You got the two bad guys, right? The big guy and his henchman.
Yeah.
In a better movie, that henchman is an interesting character at least.
Yeah.
Right? He's kind of weird. And he looks kind of weird. He's long and lanky, and you like, oh, that's like a Benicio del Toro. Like, oh, that guy's kind of weird, you know? But he just doesn't. He doesn't have anything, a quirk about him, anything interesting. He's just there. And I'm like, well, that's a miss.
Yeah.
And then you would have, it opens up with like the milkman or the mailman. You're like, oh, okay, so there's some interesting things. Like, just little characters that should have some sort of interest to them are just kind of left. And so it is just the Matt Damon, Julianne Moore show.
Exactly.
And I felt like it was really lacking.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating to me because I was seeing like this, you introduce Oscar Isaac halfway into the movie. He shows up knocking the door. Here's an interesting character. A great actor. You can do so much with it. And it was just kind of bland.
Well, by the time it got to that point, it was already pretty bland. It was
going
to be hard to bring the audience back.
Let's bring some spice into this.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of there. I mean, he had there was nothing in here that I could really grab onto. The only thing I really liked was the aesthetics of it. I thought the music was interesting because it was kind of like this dark, foreboding music, despite like some jaunty moments in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's kind of interesting. And I thought there were like some nods to like some classic shots. Like there's a moment where somebody's being choked and you just see the shadow of someone, the shadows of someone choking someone else. I'm like, those are classic shots from movies, right? It's great. But otherwise, this movie felt like a first draft to me.
Yeah, and I felt like the whole part of the racial injustice felt like it was an add-in. Like they finished the movie, and then they were like, "Oh, this is so shallow and uninteresting. Let's add a whole part."
It very well could have been, because our stars were not involved in any of that outside of Nikki.
No.
Matt Damon and Julianne Moore were not on set for shooting those.
Matt Damon mentioned the family once at the very end, and you're like, oh, he doesn't like them either. That's it.
Yeah, so they don't tie together at all. And it's weird, because the Coen brothers writing this, I expect greatness out of them. They're Academy Award winning writers and directors.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Some of my favorite movies. And this felt like a first draft that somehow made it on screen. Matt Damon is not a sympathetic character in this movie. And I was really underwhelmed again. I was disappointed in this movie.
I'm thinking it was the director maybe playing favors to Matt Damon and Julianne Moore, trying to give them as much playtime as possible without concentrating on the rest of the story. I'm hoping that this was actually written a lot better than it was directed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, George Clooney, the director, I think this is his second movie that he's directed. Little things drove me nuts in this movie as well. Like, one thing, this always gets me. We introduce that the phone line has been cut in the house. Nikki wants to make a call. Phone line is cut. 2 minutes later, somebody sits down, picks up the phone, makes a call. What? You showed me the line cut in someone's hand. 2 minutes later, I'm making the call.
Oh, it takes 2 minutes to switch out that cord.
Stop it. Just little things like that drive me nuts. What did you end up giving Suburbicon, though?
I gave it a 2. I thought there was some interesting things they could have done with it. They just didn't do it.
Yeah, I think there were bones to something here, and I think that it felt like they were just missing key parts in here that could have made it more interesting. I gave it 2 as well.
Yeah,
you know, there's something there, but it's not what we were hoping for.
It could have been a dark comedy. It could have been a social commentary.
Something.
It could have been a hokey little '50s film.
Pick one of these.
Pick up one of them.
Stay and go with it. But they didn't. So unfortunately, disappointing 2 stars from both of us. Let's take a look back, though, sir. 1989, great year. We go back to 89 kind of frequently.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It's a great year. Batman came out that year.
That it did. It's when it was set. The new It movie, 1989. Right. Great film. We have another movie bouncing off of Thank You for Your Service.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Born on the 4th of July. This is one of the, directed by Oliver Stone, based on a novel by Ron Kovich. He was the, it's a biography of his life in Vietnam. Pretty much when he started off young, he always wanted to serve his country. It was his dream to go to war.
Talk about idyllic 1950s in the opening of this movie.
Oh, yeah. This definitely, it hit all the strings of someone who wanted to volunteer to go to war.
Right.
Ron goes to war. Things don't turn out well. As you know, Vietnam did not do well for the United States. Unfortunately, worse for Ron, because he was paralyzed, and he was in the thick of it. And it's a very gritty, emotional movie. After he gets home, he has to deal with the same things the current movie that we were just talking about has to deal with, is life after the war, life with all his memories of the things he's done. In this case, life in a chair for the rest of his life. And
not only that, but of course, famously, in Vietnam, these soldiers come home, and it wasn't just like, go live your normal life. It's hatred from a public as they come home.
Yeah.
And the confusion of, wait, I was going to help us. Like, I was doing a good thing. Why are you spitting on me?
In this movie, I think they did it. I mean, people hated the
war.
Love
it or leave it. I mean, he says it 100 times.
He says it a billion times.
Love it or leave it.
But in this movie,
they're burning the flag out there.
I don't think they hated Ronnie as much. They hated Ronnie the person because he was a jerk.
Right.
But they didn't like. It showed a lot of brotherhood, of people getting together and trying to do something about something that they felt was unjust. And they hated the war, but Ron was a true blue American who just said, listen, I don't have to like the war in order to be a patriot. I'm American. I love American people. I just don't like the politics right now, and we need to change things.
Well, and I mean, this was really the first role that I remember seeing Tom Cruise in going, he's got some chops. He's got some acting chops.
Yeah.
He's not just a smile and blue eyes. And he was great in this. Nominated for an Oscar, won a Golden Globe.
And besides this being a pretty dark, depressing movie, I was also depressed that Tom Cruise does not act anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really good in this film.
Breaking away from action hero Tom Cruise. Oliver Stone won Best Director for this movie, won Best Editing. It's also a damning condemnation of the VA and the hospitals and these men when they come back basically just left to sit in their own filth because we don't know what to do with them. And it was a real big, and that was a new thing at the time. This was the first movie that I can remember being like, the VA system, how we take care of these heroes when they come back, is flawed.
Yeah.
And the fact that 30 years later,
it's still flawed.
It's still going on. This is not okay.
Well, the same thing with mental anguish after a war.
Right.
They've been talking about this forever.
Oh, it used to be just called shell shock.
Yep.
Oh, shell shock.
And every year you hear about people who are traumatized from past experiences, and especially when it comes to men. Men are told, shut up and take it. Right. Even though for generations we've been saying, hey, this is not something you just shut up.
Take that and bury it.
Yeah.
Bury that.
No, don't bury it. Bring it out.
It's a great movie. And, the story of Ron, how he became an anti-war and a human civil rights activist.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. And it's part of the Oliver Stone Vietnam trilogy with Platoon and Heaven and Earth. This sits right in the middle of the three.
I really suggest people check it out. I know it's a very unfair comparison, but it's like the Forrest Gump, if that was the light side. This is the dark side of Forrest Gump. This is very dark, but he goes on a lot of adventures.
He does.
And a lot of things happen in this movie. There is no flow problem at all.
No, I love this movie.
Very watchable, still to this day.
Absolutely. I was pleasantly surprised how well it held up.
Yeah.
30 years later, almost 20 years later. And this is a movie that I've been wanting to rewatch for a while, so this is a nice excuse to watch.
Nice.
That always helps. So we recommend Born on the 4th of July. If you haven't seen it in a while, go check it out. It's worth the watch.
Yeah.
Let's take a look ahead at what's going to be coming out the weekend of November 10th. We have three films that will be on the marquee. The first one is a sequel, Daddy's Home 2. Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, and Jonathan Lithgow.
That was one of the movies I missed last year, so I rewatched that one also this week. Or I watched it for the first time this week.
There you go.
It wasn't bad.
It's decent. It's a decent comedy. The next one is a movie that looks pretty great to me. Murder on the Orient Express.
I'm looking forward to it.
It looks great. Kenneth Branagh directing, a great cast.
Yep.
It looks
great book.
fun. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
really.
I'm really excited for this one. And another film that I'm nominated for worst title of the year, but a movie that I'm really, really interested in. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, starring Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell and Woody Harrelson. Looks really interesting to me.
I still don't think that's the worst title. I think this year is famous for worst title movies.
There's been some bad ones. There's been some bad ones, that's for sure. But those are what's going to be coming out the weekend of November 10th. Before we leave you, though, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters. Thank you for sponsoring our show. We love Marcus Theaters. The Palace here in Sun Prairie. That's where I'm going to go watch movies this week.
I am looking forward to seeing Thor.
Yes?
Yes, I'm going to watch it tomorrow early morning to beat all you guys.
I'm going to see it tonight. Beating you.
Yeah, but you're going to be in the crowd.
Yeah.
In case you don't know, Thursdays is student night. And it's going to be crowded. Students get discounts. And I believe teachers also.
Teachers.
Yep.
Thank you. So thank you, Marcus, for doing all that. Of course, if you want to find more from us, we encourage you to go find us on the internets. If you go to Facebook, search Real Reviews. If you go to Twitter, search at Real Reviews TV. You can find us there, posting all kinds of things. If you want to find a bunch of back episodes, I suggest going to sunprairiemediacenter.com, where there's, 184 episodes, something in there.
You know the number right. You don't guess numbers that aren't.
Something like
that. It's something like that.
A bunch of them. If you missed last week's Halloween episode, you wonder what these guys might have dressed up as, you can go on there, you can find those, and check out our costumes. Mike, you got a haircut since last week.
No.
I'm a little
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
a little bit.
I dyed it gray again.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Yeah.
We should say it's 184.5 because we do have 2 small segments where we cover the Comic-Con.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. And those are available if you want to see those. You can go to our YouTube page. Search Real Reviews KSUN Sun. We have little bonus episodes in there.
Yeah.
Go check those out. Next week, we're going to be talking about Bad Moms Christmas, Thor Ragnarok, perhaps something else. Who knows? You'll have to tune in to find out. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.